Ladies and freaking gentlemen, welcome back to another edition
Suck my balls.
of Suck My
Suck
Balls.
my balls. Suck my balls.
Touch them.
Suck my balls.
Hold them.
Suck my balls.
Gargle them. Last week,
Suck my
apparently Joe
balls.
said we should shave them.
Suck
I mean, if you want to do that makes you feel good, do that too. I don't know. I'm not here to judge
my balls.
how you...
Makes them look bigger.
I'm not here to judge how you maintain your hygiene in the nether region. As long as you wash it when you go to a wrestling event. Wash your fucking balls.
Suck my balls.
Anyway, ladies...
Wash your gear.
I wash everything. In fact, just wash your stuff. Be clean. Ladies and gentlemen, unless you can't, you live in a third world country, but you're listening to this show, then I commend you for choosing to listen to Suck My Balls, a South Park review. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Suck My Balls, a South Park review. As I said, I'm your host in the heat, and I can't be beat. I'm your guy who's high, where the air is so dry. Your boy. M to the S to the G. Follow us as a podcast at S to the C. No, I'm just kidding. South Park Pod. On Facebook, Suck My Balls Pod, Twitter, Instagram, linktr.ee/South Park Pod. Shout out to our boy, the Mac Daddy, the OG, the S to the C, double OP, Scoop, mother freaking Jackson. Scoops, I just actually talked to him today. No, I saw him Tuesday night. I'm sorry. We went out, had a good time in Gilbert, got a couple drinks, went to this place called The Grid, where it was like a bar. It's like $3 entrance, but then they had like consoles everywhere. So it was a bar console kind of video game. It was pretty cool. And they had Dungeons and Dragons going on. They had a D&D night going on. It was like a nerd's paradise with alcohol. It's pretty good. So we went there, and it was fun. So shout out to you, Scoop. See, I know he's just now starting Python coding in school. So yeah, there you go. Boom. Shout out to you, Scoopity doop doop doop. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, this man is a doctor of thugonomics. This man is a doctor of polyphonics. This man is the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 Trivia Champion. Dirty Joe Vernola. Little NHL 94 for you today, Joe.
Yeah.
SNES version, just to be clear.
For Superfan 99 over there.
Right. Well, what's going on, buddy? How you doing today? We're recording again. This is actually I'll break the fourth wall here. We're going to be a week ahead here, technically speaking, here in a moment, like next week when we start recording. As after this episode, we already have Make Love Not Warcraft recorded. So,
right. Well, we'll be 2 weeks ahead now. Almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
2 weeks ahead. Well, it'll be a week next week by the time this episode drops, though. You know what I mean? So we'll be a week. But you're right. We're technically going to be 2 weeks ahead now when we record this. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to Suck My Balls, a South Park. If you've never listened to this show, we review South Park in linear fashion, meaning we start from the beginning to the end. Also, I want to shout out, there's another podcast out there. He's still going strong. He's like into 200 episodes. He does the show by itself. I think it's called like Shark's Pond. It's a solo guy. Maybe his name's Bill. I didn't read the bio, but he's still going strong. So shout out to you, buddy. You're doing a South Park podcast too. We just want to share some love to more South Park fans. But yeah, that being said, I would say that I believe, Suck My Balls South Park Review, do a pretty good job at least advertising and sharing our content. So we appreciate you, the fans, as well, downloading and listening to the content. As we mentioned, shout out to Germany. We mentioned it last week. Top 100 after show podcasts. So if you're listening to us in your country, share it on your social media feeds and whatever social media apps you use. Let's just break the top 100 in every country. That's all. We're not trying to be number one. Like we're not like conceited, but it's pretty cool when we're in the top 100. Like that's cool to say. Like, yeah, top 100, it's pretty good. So like that'd be pretty cool. Joe, you look like
Don't be humble. Just say it how it is. Us and David Hasselhoff, we run Germany. Us and the Hoff.
Okay, well, according to Joe Vernola, quote him. Well, we got some stuff to quote and some stuff to read and some stuff to go over here, as this episode is titled Tsst, and it is the 146th overall episode of South Park, as it is our episode review 149. Suck My Balls 149. Nay. This episode Tsst aired on May 3rd, 2006. 1 month away from my high school graduation. Synopsis. When Cartman's mom realizes... So basically, to start this episode, Cartman's mom realizes that she can't control her son anymore, Joe. Like, I mean, it's a serial case of probably Cartman constantly having his mom be called to school for something he's done wrong. In this case, it sounds like the episode starts off with Cartman trying to manipulate the fad that was going on with the big movie Saw at the time, as that was a big pop culture thing. And Cartman gets in trouble because he handcuffs a student's leg to the flagpole, gives him a hand saw, and tells him he's got a specific amount of time to then saw his way out through his leg or whatever it is, or
tells him that he poisoned his lunch milk and the only way to get to the antidote in time would be to saw through his leg.
Right.
But in Cartman's defense, that kid shouldn't have called him chubby.
That's it. That's true. That was what I was going to get to. That's how the episode starts off, as Cartman gets into that spat with the kid, and he's sitting in Mr. Mackey's office. Okay.
This is why body shaming is wrong. If you body shame, you get handcuffed to the flagpole and put in a saw situation.
Attention, this is Mr. Mackey. You're listening to the Suck My Balls podcast. Okay.
Yeah, so exactly. So if you fuck around... You see what happens. And it's Cartman. Like, at this point, there should be some sort of like legend across the playground on who Eric Cartman is in this small town of Colorado. The guy fed his half brother his own step parents and his dad, essentially. Fucking weird. Chili. You like your chili can? So I'm saying, like, even that legend starts back there. Like, you don't fuck around with Cartman. So after being at school and hearing all of this, Leanne starts to burst out in tears, right? She's crying because she basically says there's no way to control Eric, because Mr. Mackey points out that he believes that Eric's problems and behavior start at home. And Mr. Mackey recommends to Leanne that she potentially reach out, get some help. And there's apparently a TV show called Nanny 911, which was big at the time, which featured Deborah Carroll, Yvonne Finnerty, and Stella Reed as some of the members, and that she should reach out to them. So before we get to what happens when the nannies show up, I do want to show this opening scene with Leanne in the office, just because Cartman makes a couple of funny quips.
Thanks, I'm sorry.
Thanks, asshole. Now you go ahead and make my mom cry.
We have had it with your son's behavior, okay? Little Billy Turner is now being treated at the hospital.
Eric, why would you do such a thing?
I'm sorry I handcuffed Billy Turner's ankle to the school flagpole.
You know that's not the point.
Okay, I'm sorry I handcuffed Billy Turner's ankle to a flagpole and then gave him a hacksaw. And then told him I had poisoned his lunch milk and that the only way he could get to the antidote in time would be to saw through his leg.
That's very naughty, Eric.
Well, he called me chubby.
We have tried at this school to make Eric understand that there are boundaries, okay? Frankly, we believe his behavioral problems start at home.
Right now, so as I mentioned, she's going, we get the somber music here, and now, he's out of control, and she just starts bursting out in tears here, and I like this line here from Cartman.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that he seems to get worse every day. He just never listens.
Well, nice going, asshole. You made my mom cry.
It's not him. It's you.
It's not him. It's you, Eric. That's true. I mean, it's his fault, realistically, on how his behavior. But as we'll come to find out, it's actually not all Eric's fault. But let's talk about this as the Nanny 911 show up. Now, did you ever watch that Nanny 911 show when it first came out? Was it a big fad around your group of friends, anything like that?
No, I was stationed in Fort Meade at the time, and we were aware of them, but like I wasn't something that we watched a bunch in at least my circle, and I never really watched a bunch of reality shows to begin with. We were watching action movies, stoner comedies, and sports. We were man. And like South Park and shit, obviously, too.
Family Guy, Simpsons, American Dad, all the bullshit, stoner stuff. I get it, yeah. And back then we still had Cartoon Network would still show reruns of like home movies in the middle of the night and shit like that.
Oh, whole movies is so good.
So good. I remember when they tried to bring it back for a little bit, but it didn't last. I don't think.
I mean, Brendan Small has done much better things since then. Hello, Metalocalypse, but still, home movies is great.
Yeah, it's just interesting that, like how all of these guys, as far as like these big
John Benjamin and yeah.
I was just gonna say these big animation shows like Family Guy, like Archer, right? Like Bob's Burgers, American Dad. They're all spin-offs of these are created from these guys who start off as either like writers or voice actors on other animated shows, which is interesting. That's cool. Eventually, if you have an idea, right? I mean, you've been doing it for so long. Why not pitch your own ideas too? I could see that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So moving forward now, the Nanny 911 is called now. The television intro starts, and they have their when kids are bad, we have to call in the nannies, and then they show 3 nannies, and then what looks like an old, like I don't know, type of bird or whatever it is, like crow or like actually, you know what it looks like? Oh, what's that one show that people fucking love? It came out like the 70s and 80s, and then recently Netflix brought it back a couple years ago. It's got like puppets, but they're more like sci-fi and space and stuff like that. It looked like it was one of those animatronic. It looked like it was a Muppet from the Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal.
Okay.
That was the first cinematic feature directed by Jim Henson, so I know it was something by Jim Henson itself. And it was the first one not to feature the Muppets. But like that, whatever the 4th nanny is, it looks like one of those Jim Henson fucking.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
That'll be a lot of editing. So moving on, after the Nanny 911 people come in, they first one shows up. Hello, she goes up and meets Eric Cartman, and Eric Cartman, well, he's going to have some interaction with her, and the interaction is not going to be positive for her because, first she tries to tell him that, he can't play his video games until his homework is done, and then Eric, combats back and forth with her after she puts the video game console on in the kitchen, and he takes the console back and then hooks it back up, and then she tries to stick him in timeout, and he's like, what's stopping me from getting off this stool? and
you can't leave.
The funny thing is in 2006, I would have been 18 at this point. Okay. So no one would ever, I'm not going to fucking sit in timeout. But when I watched this episode for the first time, Joe, and Eric said that, and he goes, what's stopping me from getting off of this stool? I went, motherfucker, what was stopping me from from just walking out of that corner? Why was my head in the corner?
Right.
Like my parents would have me stand in the corner, and that sucked because I didn't like standing.
Like the nose, like right in the corner. If your nose isn't touching the wall, I'm adding another 5 minutes.
Right, the white person thing, definitely. Because like I told my friends of color, and they're like, "Bro, I just got beat with the belt. I would have much rather taken the corner." Like, fuck. I was like, yeah, but we would have to stand in the corner for like 30 minutes, an hour sometimes. One time my dad made me stand in the corner for 3 hours. It sucked. I got in really big trouble.
Oh, man.
3 hours. It sucked. I mean, I was still in trouble after that, but he made me stand there for 3 hours looking just nothing at the corner. But yeah.
That blows.
It did. It did blow. So, but Cartman brings up a good point. What's stopping me from getting off the stool? So he got off the stool. And then the nanny and the nanny just first says, I'm getting down to his level to speak to him. Cartman spits in her mouth. And Leanne's like, yeah, you shouldn't get down to his level. They go back into the living room. And then this is where Eric and the nanny kind of have an interaction to where Cartman really shows his manipulation and questions why she hasn't had children. So let's go ahead here and we'll bring up that clip of some of the quick tidbits here of Cartman and the nanny.
Hold on to that feeling.
Eric, can I just talk to you for a quick second? Why are you so angry?
Because you took my egg.
Is this about more than your video game? Are you feeling angry at me because you think I'm here to change your life?
Well, yeah.
And you're feeling like I have no right to come in and tell you how to live?
Yeah, I guess so.
See this? You have to take the time to talk to your children about their feelings.
You have to let them know.
What feeling, Eric?
Well, I'm feeling confused. I don't understand why you became a nanny.
Me? Well, because I love children, like you.
Right, but If you love children so much, how come you're not a mommy?
Oh, I just never had kids.
Why not?
Why not?
It just didn't happen.
He just destroys her.
Hey, this is amazing.
No, that's too convenient of an excuse. The truth is, nobody ever wanted to have babies with you. Isn't that it? Always the mom's maid, never the mom? Must be hard on you, knowing that the years are ticking away, your friends all getting married, and all the while your uterus slowly shriveling away. Drying up. Becoming totally worthless.
You little bastard!
Fucking great.
How dare
I love this
you!
next line here.
Eric, not.
When she picks him up.
What kind of monster would...
Yes, let the anger come. Strike me down while you can. But it won't
Oh god, like total Palpatine.
I'm not doing
Strike me down while you can. But it won't fix your dried up memories.
television show.
You need to get yourself another Nanny 911 television show. All right, so following that, then another nanny shows up, a British nanny. British nanny 911.
Right, because they were all British nannies. Like each and every one of those shows, I think they were all had at least one, if not were exclusively British nannies on the show.
You're right. I actually need to correct myself. It was Super Nanny, right? So that's what it was first. It was Nanny, and then now we go to Super Nanny because obviously Eric himself was able to best the regular nanny. So let's go to a quick clip here because it's pretty quick. She doesn't last very long, and they show us right off the bat that she's not going to be able to hang around with Cartman.
This child's behavior is totally unacceptable.
Unacceptable!
But there's no child too tough for Super Nanny. In just 3 days' time, you're going to see a new Eric Cartman.
3 days later, as did we get a text here? Slater Carey Mental Hospital.
I'm afraid Super Nanny is in a deep state of mental psychosis.
What do you mean?
I mean, she spends most of her time sobbing and eating her own excrement.
From hell! It's from hell!
Oh dear.
Oh God, man, they're running out of nannies. I don't think any of these nannies want to work with him anymore, dude.
No. And this just goes to show like his world-class like manipulation and mind games.
Agreed 100%, because like he was able to just like these nannies who've been able to like being, these kid wizards that are able to tame these kids couldn't even tame Eric Cartman. So the doctor at the mental hospital recommends to Luann. God damn it.
Damn it, Luann, put on some damn clothes.
You put on some damn clothes. My friends are over. God damn it. Anyway, Leanne Cartman tells the doctor, well, they've ran out of Nanny 911 shows. She doesn't know what to do now. So the doctor at the mental hospital recommends, well, there are other types of whisperers and tamers that might be beneficial. And then we get a quick clip here of what's his name, Joe?
CESARMILLAN.
CESARMILLAN, who is the dog whisperer. That's right. Leanne has to bring in the dog whisperer because Cartman is so out of, he's such an unruly child that he has to be treated like an animal. He's acting like an animal, so he's going to get treated like an animal. So let's go to that intro of CESARMILLAN.
Friend, CESARMILLAN. No dog is too much for me to handle. I rehabilitate dogs. I train people. I am the dog whisperer.
The dog whisperer. National Geographic Channel. So Cartman made National Geographic. Good for
Please,
him.
come in.
So tell me, what are the problems you're having with the child?
Well, he's just out of control. I mean, he never listens to me, and he pretty much runs my life.
So the child needs to learn that he's not the most important person in the house.
You can stop talking behind my back. I'm right here, fruitcake.
See, I'm not looking at the child. I'm not acknowledging the child. I'm just letting the child know I'm not interested in him.
So that's basically the premise of how this episode continues on, is CESARMILLAN is teaching Leanne how to become a pack leader, to dominate him. Don't think about it. Don't ask him. Dominate him, right? So she's teaching, basically kind of teaching her how to be a parent almost as well, right? I mean, because that's really a fixture in like as far as the pack leader is usually, right? They're usually even more so like in the animal kingdom, they're usually bred from that male or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, then they have to challenge the pack leader, or they have to leave, because you can't have more than one dominating pack male in the kingdom. But in this case, with humans, obviously you can have more than, you know, brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts. But anyway, Caesar Millan, he is going to teach Leanne how to be a dominant pack leader. So they take Cartman for a walk, which I think is a good scene here too. Cartman is going to be publicly and pretty much he's going to get embarrassed here as they treat him like the dog that he acts like.
Hey, you think this is funny, you son of a bitch?
See, once again, I am the one going for a walk. This is about me. The child is lucky enough to come along.
Mom, this is degrading. God damn it.
Don't look at him. Just look straight ahead, and he'll run out of energy soon.
Like a fucking animal.
He's acting like a 4-year-old, like a 3 or 4-year-old. It's
right?
crazy.
This continues on as well as we go into another scene here with dinner now, as they're about to have some KFC for a snack, and Cartman wants some. And of course, Caesar Millan's teaching Leanne, do not give in. We have to show him that you're the pack leader, so he will eat after us.
Press the dominant energy. What I've done is I've brought over some Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Ooh, Colonel?
You can.
I am going to eat first because that is what the pack leader does.
Give me the chicken.
Give me chicken.
Give me some chicken. What are you doing? I want chicken. Give me some goddamn
We should
chicken.
explain.
I am not going to acknowledge the child's attempt at aggressive, dominant behavior.
While this is going on, if you hear Caesar Millan doing that, what he's doing is he's using 2 fingers to like kind of poke or prod at the back of Cartman's neck or his shoulder, and it's not like an aggressive manner, because he's saying, I'm not being aggressive, I'm being dominant. It's more or less just like showing like you're just kind of like pressing on him, you know what I mean? But a quick
it's basically nipping at a dog's neck. Like if you have more than one dog, you've usually seen that one will be more dominant than the other and usually starts nipping at the neck or behind the ear. That's exactly what Caesar Millan's doing here.
Right, and he's dominated him.
I'm not being aggressive, I'm being dominant.
I'm being dominant.
Literally gets Cartman on his back.
Right, exactly. So now Cartman is angered so much with all this that's going on. After being taken on a walk, leashed, and explain how he's being dominated, he decides to run away from home. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm running away from him. And of course, Leanne's like, okay, see you later. Because Caesar Millan's like, don't worry about it. He'll be back. So just let him go. So Cartman runs away, and he shows up at Stan's, where Kyle, Kenny, Butters, and Stan himself are all playing Monopoly in this scene. And he's like, I ran away from home, guys. Just need a place to stay. Stan's like, you're not staying here. He's like, maybe you didn't hear me. I ran away from home. All right, Kyle, I'll stay with you. You're not staying with me. Fine, I'll stay with Butters. No, my parents say I can't bring home homeless people anymore. And then he says, fine. You expect me to stay with Kenny? You expect me to stay with poor people? All right, Ken, let's get out of here. Ken's like, fuck you. That's really Kenny's only line. Just says, fuck you to Cartman. And then Cartman's like, fine. I just go live out on the street. If I get gang raped, if I die, it's going to be your fault. So he hangs out in the rain, right? He's forces to stay in the alleyway in the rain. But eventually, after 4 hours, he returns. He's angered, though, at this point to see Caesar Millan is still there. And then Cartman threatens to call Child Protective Services, but Leanne finally decides she's had enough of this. She can be dominant, causing her son to become submissive, which is kind of what we see in a change here in Cartman's personality, right? As he goes from thinking the world is revolved around him to starting to be dominated and understand that his mom is the one who makes the decisions and choices here, not him. So, following this now, Cartman actually starts to have some changes in his life. He starts to lose weight, starts getting better grades in school. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go to a couple of clips here of Cartman itself trying to run away from home. I thought for here with his friends, it's a good interaction, and I think it's something we should spotlight and show the boys and girls.
Oh boy, Park Avenue. I'm rich. Hey guys, I've got some pretty big news. I ran away from home. Yeah, my mom just doesn't care about me anymore, so I moved out.
You did.
She didn't even try to stop me. It's gonna be tough living on my own, but I'll get by somehow. I can't stay here.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I ran away. I don't have anywhere to sleep. I'm out on the streets.
You're not staying at my house either.
All right, that's fine. Butters, I'll crash with you.
No, my parents won't let me bring homeless people home anymore.
Well, what do you guys expect me to do? Stay at Kenny's house?
Stay at Kenny's house. So now Cartman goes to the neighborhood. He asks Jimmy. He asks Craig. They tell him they can't, stay at his house. Then he, as I mentioned, he stays in the alley for 4 hours in the rain. Decides to come home now.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, Eric, I'm so happy you're home.
Yes, well, hopefully you've learned your lesson. I've come back, but there's going to be some changes around here.
Look what I did, Eric. I learned how to make sumie paintings. I'd almost forgotten how artistic
That's
I was.
super cool, man.
That's super interesting.
Super
but
interesting.
I've been out living on the streets for almost 4 hours. Make me something to eat.
Caesar.
How's the painting going?
Oh, God damn it!
Oh, look, it came back.
Yep, just like you said he would.
What is he still doing here?
So, yes, Cartman, as we mentioned now, getting dominated here after dinner because he didn't like what he was being fed and was going to call Child Protective Services, eventually does become submissive. And then he goes upstairs, brushes his teeth, and goes to bed. Now, the next day, or I guess we have to figure out a couple weeks later as time passes by, Leanne now has a lunch meeting with Caesar, updating him on the grades, saying that he's doing much better in school. So Cartman once again now pissed that the CESARMILLAN guy has made all this impact on his mom because he's still fighting her along the way, but he's making the changes. Well, now he's going to try and kill his mom playing Xbox.
Guys, listen up. I really need your help this time. I've thought about it a lot, and I've decided I have to kill my mom.
Kill your mom?
She doesn't let me wear whatever I want anymore. Things have really gotten out of hand. My mom must die so I can have a place to live, but without her trying to run my life. She's like Hitler with all the demands she makes. Dude, have you lost more weight? Yes! I've lost almost 10 pounds now! You see what I mean? I totally know how it felt to be a Jew in the Holocaust now.
Wow!
Dude, don't kill your mom. That's not cool.
She's Hitler! Would you have killed Hitler if you had the chance? Alright, now here's the plan.
He pulls out a
9:45 tonight, I will sneak out of my room and leave the house, leaving the back door unlocked.
I like how the
You
bottom
guys
it
go to the
says
house at
frame
10:30 p.m. sharp,
Tolkien,
having
but
given
they
me enough
spelled
time
it
to get down to
token
Kirk
there,
to be seen
didn't
by
they?
everyone there.
Yeah.
And then all 4 of you go upstairs.
Like
to
that
my
one
mom.
didn't get
Dude,
fixed.
we're not killing your mom. Well, I can't kill her. I'm too obvious a suspect. Now, when you reach her room, Butters will keep a lookout. While Kenny opens a bedroom door, Kyle puts a pillow over my mom's head, and Stan shoots her in the face. Where am I supposed to get a gun? Well, I don't know. That's your job, Stan. Do I have to think of everything here?
Probably Uncle Jimbo is where he.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jimbo. Like, is he not Jimbo's nephew?
So after Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and Butters refuse to help, that night Cartman prepares to go ahead with his plan. But just as he's in his mom's bedroom, as he's holding a butcher knife and some paper towels, just as he's over about to kill her, all of a sudden he starts suffering, I don't know, some reemergence of some heavily repressed conscious, some things that his internal subconscious mind, which is fighting against him. You kind of see like the goodness of Eric come out there as far as from one side and then the evil side. So he was kind of having an inner battle, and they depicted this by having like a soul depiction almost, right? Like where it's like a ghost on one side is popping out of his head saying the world doesn't revolve around us. And then like this gangly looking evil version of himself that comes out, so
Right.
it's at this point that Cartman drops the knife and he throws up what looks like a black goo. And like he's throwing up his inner demons, if you will. The evil within.
Been exercised.
Right. So he's throwing up this fluid, and then all of a sudden, his 2 inner sides kind of fight each other. And the way they depict this as well is by doing different animation on Cartman, from making him look like his pixels are being broken like a TV. He becomes a thing, becomes a different number of different quote unquote characters, and then eventually he passes out. And this is like almost just basically his inner self, his good fighting with his evil. So let's go to that clip here. It's probably one of my favorite points in this episode. Is back then this was really cool animation for the time when they did this for the first time ever. You know what I mean? It was something that they hadn't really explored from an animation standpoint to make their characters kind of have this split personality-wise, if you will.
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye, Mother.
Wait. Maybe maybe I don't have the right to kill my mom. No, she's my mom. I can do whatever I want with her. It's more important I live the way I want. She isn't an object you can own, she's a human being. She isn't an object I can own, she's a human being. Ow! Get her! Ow, she's making you suffer! Maybe all these changes are good for me. Maybe the world doesn't revolve around me. Maybe the world doesn't revolve around me.
Then he throws up here. The black fluid.
The world doesn't revolve around me.
They start fighting.
Literally fighting his inner demons.
And he passes out. God, this is like my favorite part of the episode. Just that scene itself makes it one of my favorite episodes as well. So now the next morning, when Leanne comes down to breakfast, she finds that Cartman has started his homework. He's eating some grapefruit and lean ham. And then eventually Caesar pays a visit and asks, how's Cartman doing? And she says, I think the change in personality finally happened. He's doing good in school, and, he's starting to take care of himself. So as a thank you, she asks him, would you like to join me in seeing Madame Butterfly? As she got 2 tickets. But CESARMILLAN says, no, my work here is done. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had, we were becoming friends. And he's like, no, you're just a client. See you later. Good luck to you. So as soon as he leaves, Leanne then turns to Cartman and asks if, she wants to come with him. And Cartman says, no, thanks. I got to work on my project with Stan and Kyle. But then she says, well, what if I promise to take you to KFC afterwards? And then afterwards, what if we go and buy a Mega Ranger? And then Cartman goes, could I perhaps have 2 Mega Rangers? And then she says, of course, dear, you can have whatever you want. And then the incident culminates in Cartman returning to his normal self with kind of a sinister look. They do a slow close in, and they kind of play the music of the crazy, scary music, if you will. So, Joe?
Yes?
You have something to say?
Oh, no. I was just trying to do the evil Cartman look.
Okay. So let's go here to the conclusion now of the episode with Cartman and that evil look.
Well, what if I took you to Kentucky Fried Chicken afterward? And then we'll go to Target and I'll buy you a Mega Ranger.
Could I perhaps have 2 Mega Rangers?
Yes, darling. You can have whatever you want.
I love that music.
Yeah.
Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, that's your full recap there as Cartman, at the end, Cartman still gets what he wants. We're going to discuss the episode, I think, more in depth with our thoughts, our final thoughts, kind of like what we thought, the reaction to it. When we come back on the other side, when we get some trivia, pop culture, maybe some references to continuity and more. So stick around, or, just hit the fast forward button to the ads. That's fine too. As long as you download the show. Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Subscribe to Suck My Balls, a South Park review on Spotify, Apple's, iTunes, anywhere you want to download a podcast. Just type that in, subscribe to our feed. You'll get the latest, greatest episode each and every week. You can also listen to us on YouTube and go back and watch some videos or any of our library. It's all there. Suck My Balls, South Park review.
And once again, shout out to our sponsors provided by Spreaker. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe it is time for the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 Trivia Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is a trivia god. Dirty Joe Vernola.
At the beginning of the episode, Cartman is in Mr. Mackey's office for bullying Billy Turner, who had actually fat shamed him and bullied him beforehand, as we discussed. Though it is not well known, Eric suffers from various mental disorders as evidenced by prior episodes, some due to sexual abuse. He occasionally cries at night due to not having a real father figure, as he revealed in Le Petit Tourette, or Le Petit Tourette, the Little Tourette.
I lay a note at night crying about because of the fact that I don't have my dad. What?
What? At least once, Leanne dressed him up as a mailman and made him dance while she did crack and had sex with a stranger in her bedroom, as was revealed in An Elephant Makes Love to a Pig.
And I was like, hey, don't dress me up in a mailman suit while you're doing crack and having some sex in my dad's bedroom. What was that, Carmen? Nothing.
Nothing. In Fun with Veal, Eric is woken up by Kyle, Stan, and Butters to help save the baby cows from slaughter. Startled awake, Cartman blurts out, "No, Uncle Jesse, no!" implying that one of his relatives, perhaps one named Uncle Jesse, may have been abusing him, although it could just as easily be a fear of Uncle Jesse Katsopoulos from Full House.
That's his bad dream. His bad dream is Uncle Jesse abusing him.
Isn't there an Uncle Jesse in Dukes of Hazzard too?
Maybe. Yeah, it's true. I'm not a big Dukes fan. I don't know about the boys. Sorry.
I mean, I saw the movie because, god damn, Jessica Simpson looks so good in it.
One time,
Moving on.
One time I touched my cousin. Me and my cousin with the wieners.
There's, speaking of which, Eric once admitted to having sexual contact with his cousin's wiener, although it is unknown if this is consensual or not, given that most of Eric's relatives are older than him, not to mention that Eric is so young. It was definitely highly inappropriate, illegal, and perhaps even statutory rape. Cartman is shown to be left-handed in this episode. Cartman's appearance is slightly altered throughout the episode as he becomes somewhat slimmer than normal, although it's very subtle. This is one of the few episodes in the history of the series to be rated TV-14. Damian Thorne, Tommy Turner, Heidi Turner, Millie Larson, Pete, Lola, Esther, Boy with the C Cap, and Lewis all appear in the Super Nanny opening. At the bottom of Cartman's plan to kill his mother, as you pointed out, the final instruction says to frame Tolkien. Leanne Cartman is shown to have some skill in sumai or ink wash painting, which is a type of brush painting from East Asia using various concentrations of black ink.
Hey, Joe, that's super interesting.
The paint in the can is a reference to the Alex Toys brand Paint in the Tub. Moving on to references to pop culture. As we know, CESARMILLAN is the star of Dog Whisperer, with CESARMILLAN. He is parodied in this series, in this episode rather. Some actual techniques such as creating calm, assertive energy, asserting dominance, and his vocal marks are used on Cartman. These are all real things he has done in episodes. In a 2010 interview, Millan mentioned that he was contacted by Matt and Trey, who loved his show, and he was actually flattered that they wanted to make a parody about him. On November 13th, 2019, Millan uploaded a reaction video on his YouTube channel showing just how much he enjoys watching the episode even 13 years after its original airing. It was also shared on the South Park Twitter account with a GIF from the episode of Caesar using his technique to keep Cartman away from the KFC.
Yeah, I remember actually when that thing actually dropped on YouTube, because that was like, what, a couple months before COVID actually started?
Yeah, that was a few months before everything shut down, about 2 or 3 months.
Right. So, but it was interesting because I remember at the time when it dropped, just, I think it had like 1 million views or something like that within the first week or something. It's up to 8 or 9 million views now.
Yeah.
But like, I remember like that first week or month, it was just like, it went viral really quick because it was obviously everybody wanted to see how Cesar Millan reacted, not knowing that behind the scenes, right, that Matt Stone and Trey Parker had reached out, as we now know from the DVD commentary, of course, and from just from trivia common knowledge. But yeah, very funny stuff that he actually like enjoys it. If you watch his reaction to it, he loves the fuck out of the episode. So that's cool to see that he loves South Park as well.
Right. As we mentioned, Cartman chained Billy Turner's ankle to a flagpole, poisoned his milk, yada, yada, yada. This is all in reference to the first Saw film. One of the paintings at Nanny Central is Da Vinci's Lady with an Ermine. Cartman hums Journey's Don't Stop Believing at one point after overcoming one of the nannies. In the Latin American dub, Cartman is singing La Camisa Negra by Juanes.
Oh yeah, fucking good job, Joe. I was like,
thank you.
That bitch. No, I'm just saying, you did a good job.
When Cartman's angel and devil purple subconscious versions of his head appear when he was about to kill his mother, the effect is similar to that used in Robert Zemeckis' Contact in the scene where Ellie Arroway is traveling through the wormhole. A similar visual effect is used.
It's interesting, though. I'm sorry not to interrupt. I was going to say...
No. Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting, though, because in like the early parts of the couple's first seasons, didn't they bag on Contact? Contact, oh my God, I fucking hate that movie. It's so bad.
Yeah, they do a few times, and this, I mean, could still be kind of seen as bagging on it, but who knows? There's plenty of stuff that they bag on that they're able to find some worth in. I mean, they even said they found some worth in Family Guy. They just don't agree with the style of writing. So after Cartman is leaving his mother's room, he stumbles around the hallway and appears to take on different physical appearances. These transformations closely resemble the final scene in Altered States. A dead giveaway to this reference is that both Cartman and Dr. Jessup from Altered States appear to have complexions that sporadically change to something that resembles TV static without a signal. At the end of the episode, the camera slowly zooms in on Cartman's smiling face while Ave Satani plays in the background. This is all a reference to The Omen. It is also a reference to Friday the 13th, the final chapter. As you were trying to point... Go ahead.
No, I just said yep.
Oh, yeah. As you were trying to figure out earlier, one of the nannies is from the Dark Crystal. It is a Skeksis. The other nannies that are parodied all have real shows, including Deborah Carroll, Stella Reed, and Yvonne Finnerty from Nanny 911, as you said. Super Nanny is Joe Frost, and of course, CESARMILLAN. Cartman's line to Stella, always a mom's maid, never a mom, is, of course, a play on the idiom, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. When Leanna asks if he wants to go to Target to buy a Mega Ranger, this is possibly a reference to the Power Rangers franchise, the Super Sentai series, or Denji Sentai Mega Ranger, which was then adapted into Power Rangers in Space. Sureja.
All right, and then I'll wrap this up here with some continuity. There is a clip from The Passion of the Jew in this episode, and it is during Cartman's intro on Nanny 911. When Cartman asks Stan to shoot Leanne in the face, Stan asks, where am I supposed to get a gun? Considering that, of course, as we mentioned, that his uncle Jimbo runs the gun shop and has not had any problem getting the boys firearms in the past. Should not have actually been too difficult. In fact, so much so apropos to this episode, we just re-uploaded on our YouTube Volcano. It's coming right for us. So, like, if
oh my God,
I'll never use another gun again. So you can go back and check out on our YouTube if you would like to hear myself and Ian in the early underground non-format episodes of Suck My Balls Review. Cartman not knowing Jimmy's last name is a joke on the show's inconsistent portrayal of time of airing Crazy Cripples had established it as Swanson. However, Up the Down steroid then gave it Vollmer. So in the later episodes, it eventually would be confirmed as Vollmer. So that is, I guess, a good point. I always when that pops up, I always go Vollmer. But then, yeah, there was a point in time for the earlier part of the episodes when they originally introduced Jimmy. His last name was Swanson, and then it was changed to Vollmer. This is the first episode to focus on Leanne Cartman, since Cartman's mom is still a dirty slut. And then, of course, when Cartman is bullying Nanny Stella because she has no kids, the TV in the background says "phony," a parody of the corporation, just like the one seen in The Return of Chef. Continuity, pop culture references, trivia, full recap. Joe, what'd you like about this episode, yo?
Again, that it just shows Cartman's ability for manipulation so well, and like it puts over it puts over CESARMILLAN very well, most definitely, but like it also shows that even with the sorry, lost my train of thought for a second. Even with like one of the best behavior influencers or behaviorists, even though he's an animal behaviorist in CESARMILLAN, like Cartman was able, like, just again, it just shows his depth.
Well, here's what I was going to say, and I agree with you on what you were going to say, but to play off that, I was going to say this episode proves that it's not Cartman's fault for how he acts, that his mom enables him to act the way he acts, right? Because at that tail end of the episode, if she had just let him be a kid, go about go Friday night, do his science project or whatever it is, go about being that dominant parent that she was, then Cartman would have a different outcome. He probably would have continued to lose weight, got better grades in the schools, and who knows, maybe his friends then actually would like him more and support him versus being like, yeah, we don't care, dude.
Right. And I mean, yeah, now that I think of it, I've never really seen her with any friends during the series, but like, how does she not have, unless like, oh, because we established later down the road that she can never leave Cartman on his own.
Right. That's what of course, but this is back in season 10, right? So if we're putting ourselves back in then, had Cartman not been influenced this way, Leanne could have taken upon herself as an adult just to, go make friends. And the easiest way to do that, you're already in a small town, is just start making friends with your parent, the parents of your friends' kids. Right? If you go make friends with Gerald, or go make friends with fucking Sheila. Go make friends with the poor chick, Kenny's mom. I don't know.
I was gonna say they
probably have more common with her. I don't know.
They all enjoy crack and meth and shit. Like, you go hang out with the McCormicks.
Yeah, why isn't she hanging out with the McCormicks or the Broflowskis? Or she could go hang out with the Marshes. Maybe she could have hang out with Sharon and could have made her a better mom, because Sharon's a pretty good mom. So, like, there could have been some influence there. But she chose, because she felt alone, and now that CESARMILLAN had left, and she felt abandoned because she has her own personal abandonment issues, clearly, that she needed to then revert back to leaning on her son as someone to spend time with her and enjoy company, which in turn then stunts Cartman's ability to grow up as a human, an adult, because it keeps him in that child position, right? That childlike position, spoiled child brat, versus learning to grow up and understanding that as a child, your parents aren't going to be there for certain things. They're just not going to be there, and you're going to have to be by yourself, and you're going to have to learn and understand what that means. So that way, when you become an adult, you can handle it. But unfortunately, as we do find out currently, it's canon, which, at this point in time, they haven't changed it. But as we're speaking right now in 2022, Cartman's going to end up being homeless, according to post-COVID. So obviously, this is definitely a catalyst right here in season 10 for a reason why that happens. So
it is.
And for me, I also really like all of, as you mentioned there, and the kind of the altered state there movie there. I really liked the graphics, the animation of the inner fighting of the demons between Cartman. I don't know, just from someone who's got bipolar and the mental stuff here, I really liked the depiction of it. I thought it was really cool. So this is, for me, top 15 episode. Joe, what about you?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely up there, top 25, top 15. So, It's up there. It's a banger. I just love how he just eviscerates Nanny Stella in just like the span of a few seconds. Oh no, that's too convenient. It's because no one wants to marry you.
Shrivel up. Yeah, he's really great manipulative in this episode. So there's that. The Nanny 911 stuff, as you mentioned, that's pretty funny. That's hilarious. And then when they start introducing CESARMILLAN and the domination of over Cartman, that's funny stuff too, and great to even see as well. So all around, as you mentioned, banger of episodes, definitely one of my top 15. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for another edition of
Suck my balls. Suck my balls.
Yum, yum, yum.
Suck my balls.
Go.
Suck my balls.
Suck My Balls, a South Park review. You can catch us each and every week right here on podcast platforms, as well as on YouTube. You can also stay up to date for any other side videos and compilation information that comes out. We're going to linktr.ee/SouthParkPod. There you can find our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook landing pages, or if you want to go directly, you can just go to Facebook.com/SouthParkPod, Twitter.com/SuckMyBallsPod, Instagram.com/SuckMyBallsPod, or you can shoot us an email at suckmyballspod@thegmail.com. Find us on YouTube. If you're watching us, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're so close to 100 subscribers, so if you could just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that'd be pretty cool. Shout out to our boy, the Mac Daddy, the S to the C, the double OP, scoop, pitty, scoop, scoop, scoop. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, shakalaka, 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 shaka, scoop, shakalaka, shakalaka, shakalaka. Anyway, shout out to you, buddy. Anyway, and then of course, the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 Trivia Champion, the Doctor of Thugonomics, Punkonomics, Mr. Joe Vernola. We are recording this on October the 20th, and this will be out the 26th. What do you got coming up this weekend?
Oh, this weekend, Friday the 28th, your grandma's house in downtown Denver, right off Broadway. That will be Reaper Independent Pro Wrestling. Luchadors versus Vampires. I have no idea what the hell he has planned for that, but I know that there's a casket match involved at some point. You can get tickets for that right now on Eventbrite. There are 3 shows November 5th, across Colorado, Greeley, Colorado, Battleground Pro Wrestling.com, November Pain. You can get those tickets at the website I just mentioned. New Era Wrestling at Mile High Comics, and Colorado Springs Wrestling down in the Springs at Sunshine Studios Live. You can get tickets for all those at their respective social medias and all that good stuff. And December 3rd, the Devotion Championship Wrestling 4th anniversary show in Salt Lake City, Utah. If you cannot make it to Salt Lake City, it will be available on Fight.
All right, it'll be available on Fight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another edition here of Suck My Balls. We'll be back next week with a special all-in-person edition review recorded at the end of August, Make Love Not Warcraft, where you can see how hellaciously drunk Scoop was, and Joe was pretty inebriated too. It was a pretty fun day.
Yeah,
we had to make it fun because some shit went down that day.
Yeah,
but that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we can't wait for you to come back for Make Love Not Warcraft, and of course, we appreciate you checking out this edition of Suck My Balls. Subscribe on YouTube. We're going to be dropping another episode from season 1 this week, as well as we will be uploading Randy Marsh versus Bat Dad number 2 from Primo's Pro Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week.
I just remembered that dude from the ball game. Fuck that guy.